Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Gabbabetic and welcome to today's video. I'm here with the lovely Teddy because I'm actually up at my parents' house and it's my 17-year Diaversary tomorrow. So I thought what would be fun is that I would take you on a trip down memory lane because I have had a little look through all my diabetes stuff that would have been when I was first diagnosed, and have some stuff here and some celiac stuff as well. I'm going to show you in the video. And then tomorrow is my actual Diaversary. I'm driving home tonight and I'm going to celebrate a little bit tomorrow, not too much, but I'll also answer some diabetes questions that I've been given from people, and I think that'll be really fun as well. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please give it a big thumbs up, comment down below and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I can't believe that I'm 17 years with type 1 diabetes and celiac disease, and that tomorrow is my Diaversary. So let me show you what I found. It's very interesting. So if you're not sure what a Diaversary is, basically it's a celebration of all of your years managing type 1 diabetes. Some people don't celebrate it. I do celebrate it because I think it's more of a like, you've achieved all of this and gone through so much with type 1 diabetes that another year round again with diabetes is definitely something to celebrate. But now it's been 17 years, which has been a long time. So I was diagnosed in 2008, in July 2008. So that's when I'm filming this video now, in July 2025, which is crazy. And I've had a lot of things with type 1 diabetes. I've had many changes through the years. So right now I have the Guardian 4 CGM and I have a pump. I did insulin pens for 16 years. I didn't have a CGM at all for 12 years. I just used finger pricks. And now technology is really changing diabetes. I love my pump. That's my favorite thing. Even though I do have struggles with the sensor, as you all know. And to be honest, I can't even remember a time without type 1 diabetes. It's been that long, or celiac disease for that matter. I'll show you a few celiac things, but it's mainly a type 1 diabetes video. So it's just been so long. And I was here in my parents' house. I'll show you now. They have a little diabetes box of all my things from when I was diagnosed, and obviously lived with them throughout the years before I moved out when I was an adult. And I'm going to show you a few of them things now because they're just very nostalgic to look at. This is a little diabetes box. This is where I used to keep all my stuff. So the most recent stuff I have is I try to keep a few spares for when I visit, just in case. So I just have one infusion set and one reservoir and an insulin vial in the fridge for my pump, but the rest is fairly old school. So I do have some lift in case I go low. We have we have AccuCheck lancets, which I am not the person to change a lancet. I think that's a general diabetes thing. We have some old pen needles. I used to use these, the Microfine 4mm BD. We have, I think this is it, yeah, a Freestyle Libre that expired that I left up here. I don't know if you can even reactivate that. That's the OG Freestyle Libre. They don't even make that anymore. So they're probably the more recent things. As you can see back here, loads and loads and loads of insulin pens. So like that one there. So like this one here, which, you know, they're still handy to have. So that's why I'm hanging on to some of this stuff, because if I ever went back to pens or if I was visiting and my pump broke, at least I have an option. This is an old lancet, and I think the further down we go, there's just more cases of old monitors. And I want to show you some funny things. You can see there's lots of information things back here. Oh, I'll show you this one first, because obviously I got diagnosed as like, I would say child / almost teenager. And this is like Meet Pete the pancreas. I just thought this was so funny. I wonder if they still use this. If anyone has children with type 1 diabetes or remembers this, please let me know if they still use this. But this is like a very basic way to teach children about insulin and the pancreas and how things work. Like you say, meet the sad cell. The cells are sad because they have no key to diabetes, but now they're happy because the diabetes can get in. And insulin is the special key. And this is Pete the pancreas, who makes insulin, or rather for me, he doesn't make insulin. So I just thought that one's very funny. There's loads of like different things about hypos, and then the diaries. I'm going to show you the diaries. Back when there was no CGM, there was only finger prick and only pen. So this is the 2nd of August 2010. This is about 2 years after being diagnosed. So these, how much I was taking: 4 units at breakfast, 6 units before lunch, 5 units at dinner, 25 units of Lantus. That's so much. Even when I was on pens up to last year, I was nowhere near that. That's crazy amount. So let's see my kind of blood sugars. So waking up 3.5, 8.8 good, bad at dinner 13, and 8. A few bad ones. I feel like dinner time was and evening was always my problem. A few bad ones there. Now we got a few alright ones. 8, 4, 9, 8, 17. Let's just do one more random page. This is so weird to look back on. 4, 8, 10, 17. Like there's definitely on the higher scale. Okay, so I want to show you these folders. This is my diabetes folder. This is what I put together as a 13-year-old being diagnosed. Very organized already before I had type 1, as you can see. And there's a few things in it. It's very poignant to look through because it kind of makes you a bit sad that you got diabetes, especially so young. But then also, like, I don't know, like I have diabetes, this is where I am today, I have my life, I love doing my channel, I love you guys watching and commenting. So it's just a bit weird. It is a bit sad though. So in here there's like loads of ads in here as well for like monitors and stuff. But there's things like how to eat and drink with diabetes, how to count carbs with diabetes. Like, it's so funny now because like now I just read the packets or I just know, but it's like 1 pita bread is 30 grams of carbs. I feel like this is just such a throwback because it's just like I don't work like that now. Like, here's some basic information with diabetes. Make sure you eat 3 regular meals and avoid sweet and sugary drinks. And like, I can eat when I want. Carbohydrates of fast food. So this is saying KFC, popcorn, chicken, 23 grams of carbohydrates. I should point out, obviously I got all of this information first with the type 1 diabetes, and then I was diagnosed with celiac like very soon after they ran the tests. So there's some celiac things start to come into it. Inspector G's guide to celiac disease. So Inspector G is looking to see how to find gluten in things. It's very funny. There's things like how to count your carbs and do exercise with carbs. And yeah, there's a lot of prescriptions. I wanted to show you something funny, which is to do with, well, interesting. It's to do with diabetes and celiac disease. So I'm trying to just blur off any personal information. This is a prescription. So this prescription, if you have a look at it, has things for diabetes like insulin, like Lantus there. But what's also very interesting for celiac disease is before in Ireland, you used to be able to get things on prescription. They got rid of that now. So if you have a look and you see celiac, there's things like Juvela gluten-free rolls. So there's a diabetes prescription and a celiac prescription. I was getting things like pasta, rolls, gluten-free, cereal. Used to be able to get that on prescription in Ireland, and then they took that away. So that's a bit sad. But it's very a throwback to have a look at the prescription and see that on there. This is a sad one for me. So if you watched my diagnosis video, basically how I was diagnosed, I was undiagnosed for a very long time. I was in DKA. None of that was picked up, even though I've been brought to a doctor multiple times. So I ended up having cataracts in both eyes. So I needed to get them removed after I found out I was diabetic and kind of got that a bit under control. So this is my surgery notes. This is me about to go into surgery. That's then marking off where everything's supposed to be operated on, and obviously getting my parents to sign because I was a child. I don't like looking at that one because it's just, no one wants to think about when they had an undiagnosed disease for so long that it ultimately led to them not being able to see at all in both eyes and surgery. So basically for me, it was like being diagnosed at age like 12, getting type 1 diabetes, getting celiac disease, and finding out having cataracts in both eyes and needing a double, like an operation on both and new lenses put in. So not a fun time. So the rest of the stuff in there is just random stuff. So that was my diabetes folder. And then for the celiac, this was a kind of a celiac folder. There's just loads of ads for brands. And then there's like, yeah, Inspector G's guide to celiac disease. I just think this is so fun. Step 1, identify. Step 2, investigate. Gluten might be hidden in these words: wheat, barley, rye, and oats. I think that's very funny. I do think that's very good how they did that. And in here, like I said, it's just ads like Juvela, how to make a pizza. It's like, this is the list of gluten-free Christmas items that you can have. And here's an ad for Kelkin, which is another gluten-free brand. So yeah, they do a lot of advertising and just lots of things. Like, it's all like recipes and how to look for gluten and that kind of thing. So, which, when I will say this as well, when you are diagnosed with celiac disease, there is a steep learning curve. So things like this are very helpful. But they're my two folders. I thought that was interesting to show you. Tomorrow's my Diaversary. I'll show you how I'm going to celebrate. It'll be a very small celebration, and we'll answer some diabetes or celiac Q&A questions, probably mostly diabetes. So I'll talk to you tomorrow. Hello everyone, today is the day. It's 17 years of type 1 diabetes. Oh my god, it's been a long 17 years. I've been reflecting on it like the last few days because it's just a long time, and I do wonder how things will be 17 years from now. After showing you the stuff in my parents' house, it just seems crazy how things have changed. Of course, today I would need both a sensor change, so I've just put on a new sensor, and I also needed a pump site change, so I've just put on a new pump. Currently, my blood sugar is 6.3, but I did check it on my real monitor, and it was 8, because I feel like when you first put on a sensor, even if it's Dexcom or Medtronic, I feel like they kind of read a little bit off the first kind of few hours, and I get that's why people with the G7 do pre-soaking. I can't do that with mine because it just doesn't work like that, as is everything with the Guardian 4, a little bit difficult. So I want to thank you all for anyone who gave me a question on my videos or on Instagram. Thank you so much. Lana's going to be running around the background, so we're going to answer a few questions, and then I just finished work as well, so it's really great. So I'm going to show you the present that I got for my Diaversary and the snacks, the most important thing that I got to celebrate my Diaversary, of course, gluten-free. So let's go for the first question. So the first question that we have here, and I am going to be throwing this ball for Lana during this, so bear with, is from Bethany Dunn. Thank you so much for your question, Bethany, and you're type 1 diabetic as well. You're in the club. So it says, what and how do you feel on your bad days, and how do you get through them? So really, really good question, especially for me this year, because if you've watched the last few videos on this channel, I wasn't in a very positive place for the last few weeks about my health and diabetes. Almost wasn't really feeling like I even want to celebrate this diabetes. So I guess, what do I feel on my bad days? It's kind of like, why do I have to do this, and how am I gonna do this for the rest of my life? It's like, it's kind of a bit like, this is really unfair, and it's so hard. And on my bad days, especially when the blood sugars are just not going to plan, I'm like, why? One thing I often feel is like, why am I so bad at this after 17 years? That's a thing I feel a lot, is like when I'm having a bad diabetes day, I'm like, why am I so not good at this after so long? And the answer is because diabetes is really hard and it's very unpredictable. Like, so many things affect blood sugar, we all know that. So you can have good and bad days very easily with type 1 diabetes, and it's so exhausting. Like, it's so exhausting having to deal with it every day, the mental load. And if you have other things like celiac disease like I have, that also adds to the exhaustion. So a lot of the times, that's kind of how I feel. I do feel wrecked sometimes. I feel so tired from diabetes. Do I tell myself to get through them? So if I'm having like a really bad blood sugar day, I'll just have to say to myself, like, this is one day or one set, a few days or 1 week. You know, this is really hard. You don't have a pancreas that works. You're doing this yourself. So please try and cut yourself some slack. And a lot of people, I feel, with type 1 are very hard on themselves as well. And even me, like, it's very hard to follow that advice. But that's something that I try to think, is that, like, diabetes is so hard that it's not your fault if you're having a bad day or a bad week. There's so many factors that go into it. I think a big thing with type 1 diabetes is that you just have to kind of come to terms with the fact that you will have it forever. I did mention in a short that I don't think there will be like a cure. I think there will be advancement in technology. I think that'll be a big thing, and I'll talk about that in another question in a minute. And there might be like stem cell transplant or pancreatic transplant, but that does cause other issues, which someone did mention on this as well. So I don't actually think there'll be a cure. I've come to terms with that. I've come to terms with, I'm going to have this probably for the rest of my life. Now, if I don't, that's amazing. But yeah, I think you have to come to terms with that. And that can take a long time. That can take a really, really long time to come to terms with. And there's some days where you're just like, oh my God, I'm going to have this forever. But I think you just have to be like, this is it, unfortunately. And just have to be like, you know, I have this, and I just have to deal with it as best as I can. And having a community, having people that have type 1 diabetes that you can talk to and relate to is huge. For years before this channel, before I had a support group where I live, I felt very isolated. To be honest, I had no clue about pumps. I had no clue about anything because I was so on my own with type 1 diabetes. And having a group that you can talk to, or hopefully even this channel that you can watch can just help you feel a little bit less alone, and I think that also helps on the bad days. So that is a really good question. Thank you for that. Next question is a hard question. It's about Fat Bolus Split. So it says, and thank you for the question, it says, now that you have a pump and you don't use background insulin, has your timing and approach to high fat meals changed? And the answer is yes. So it's really hard to get your blood sugar right after high fat meals like pizza, and that's why I've been doing some other videos on the channel about that. And my approach has changed since having a pump. So what I usually did for pens, I'm just going to talk about pens first, is I'd add up the carbs of the high fat meal. Let's pretend it's 100 grams of carbs. With my food, I would take whatever, then I would half the amount, so 50 grams of carbs, 50 grams of carbs. I'd work out my insulin for 50 grams of carbs and I'd take it with the food. And then I'd wait 2 hours and I would take the other 50 grams of carbs worth of insulin. So let's just say we're on a 1-to-1 ratio, 5 units, 5 units. So I'd basically at 5 p.m. take 5 units of insulin, at 7 p.m. take 5 units of insulin. The reason I do that is because if you take your 10 units for 100 grams of carbs altogether, you're going to go low. Fat takes so long to break down, you need to delay the insulin. So I used to do it like that on the pens. You can do it like that on the pump. I've shown this in those videos where I've done insulin versus whatever food. So you can do it like that on the pump, or, which I do often as well, you can calculate all of the carbs for the meal and take that half of the split. So say you take your 50 grams then, and instead of taking the other 50 grams, 5 units worth of insulin, you just let the pump autocorrect. I've done both. I can't say which is better than the other. I've done both. But one thing that huge help with the pump, so big up the pump for this, is that a lot of times if you're having like your dinner, the fat will break down way later. And I was having this issue sometimes as well, is that like I'd have like something like pizza at dinner time. It would break down hours later when I'd be asleep and I'd be going extremely high and I'd have to get up and take injections. That's giving me stress thinking about that. But if I just let my pump autocorrect, I can actually sleep most of the time. And this has hugely helped me. I have a huge problem at nighttime with high blood sugars. That's why I got an insulin pump. Not to the level where we're talking about for like a Fat Bolus Split, but even in general, I just seem to rise in the night. And having this pump has hugely helped me. It's meant that I can actually sleep at night. So Fat Bolus Split is really, really hard to do. I've done a few videos on that on the channel if you want to watch them. But having the pump has helped so much, especially at night time. Next question is, can you talk about your quality life and what it's like for you, and what technology would I need to improve this? Really good question. I would say my quality of life at the moment is really, really good. I live in a country, I live in Ireland, where I do not have to worry about the price of anything to do with type 1 diabetes and even conditions related to type 1 diabetes. So in Ireland you have something called the long-term illness card. If you've type 1 diabetes, all of your CGMs, your pumps, everything, your sensors, your insulin is free. It's a huge quality of life point in my mind, because I see what other type 1 diabetics are going through in other countries, particularly the USA, and I am so lucky to live in Ireland where I do not have to worry about the cost at all. And even things related to diabetes, like for example, there's an association of type 1 diabetes and high cholesterol. You can get statins for free on the LTI card because of that. So it's just huge. That's one huge factor for quality of life. I have experienced a really big increase in my quality of life since I got my first CGM. So the first CGM I had was the Freestyle Libre. I got that in 2019. Before that, as you'll have seen earlier in this video, blood sugars were just all over the place. Like, to be honest, the HbA1c, I'm gonna say it was definitely up in the double digits. I can't remember exactly now, but it was like at the start, obviously it's up in the double digits getting diagnosed, but like it was nowhere near as good as it is now, the HbA1c or the time in range, nowhere near, because I was just doing finger pricks and pens, and you're just getting like 4 readings throughout the day and not really seeing any trends. So when I got the Freestyle Libre, I had a huge drop in HbA1c. So CGMs, I think, are a huge thing to improve your quality of life. If you're worried about them and you've never had one and you're type 1 diabetic, do it. Get one. It will change your life like for the better so much more. Lastly, I'll talk about the pump. If you're undecided to get a pump, and I didn't get a pump for 16 years, right? So if you're undecided, get a pump, because do not wait around. It's very overwhelming at the start. It's very daunting, but it is 100% worth it. If you're someone that has particular issues like me, when I was telling you just there that I used to have high blood sugars at night time, like almost every night, I used to never sleep. I used to get up and take injections. The pump has improved my quality of life in terms that I can actually sleep, not even diabetes related, as well as having better blood sugars at night and time in range. I can actually sleep. So I'm way more positive and feeling better throughout the day if you can actually sleep. Like the technology is huge. And what I would like to see to further improve my quality of life is I would like to see a better sensor. I've told you before, the Guardian 4 is not the best sensor. If it works, it's great. It doesn't work a lot of the time, and it's impossible to put on by yourself. It's really, really difficult. So that has to improve. Bigger scale of things, what I want to see is pumps not being hybrid closed loops. I want them to be completely closed loop. So a hybrid closed loop means that you still have to bolus at meal times for your pump because it can't react fast enough and give that amount of insulin. We need a hybrid closed loop to take away the mental stress. We need that. It would be much better. We need insulin that is faster acting, that's more similar to what's happening in the body. Fiasp is a great insulin. It's still not fast enough. Like the pump, unless you tell it to, won't be able to respond that quickly. So we definitely need closed loop systems. So that's where I would like to see the technology going, and I think that would really improve people's quality of life, because I think it's all about taking away the mental strain. So yeah, that was a really good question. This question here, I kind of just talked about it, so I'm just going to briefly answer it here. What's the cost per month? Like, it's free. I don't know how to say anything more. It's all free. Like, sensors are free, insulin is free, glucose little bottles that I have are free. Everything is free. It's on the LTI card in Ireland if you are Irish and new to all this. Get yourself set up on that, because you're set up for life. You will never have to pay, fingers crossed, but you shouldn't have to pay for any diabetes related medication or equipment. This one, I get this a lot. Which of the two conditions, type 1 diabetes and celiac, is harder to live with? Honestly, I feel like I don't have the answer, as most people with both have. Most people, when I see this question come up, answer diabetes. I think celiac disease. Okay, the reason, I think both are extremely hard. Let me just first say that. And I think diabetes takes more of the forefront. I think diabetes takes most of the time and energy. The reason I think celiac disease is harder is because, to an extent, with type 1 diabetes, I have control. Besides going low and, you know, going high and having ketones like that, or other factors. Well, I don't know if I really have control, but I have a good control of my type 1 diabetes. And like, I know how much to inject. I know what to do if I'm going low and I can treat it. I know what to do if I'm going high. That's what I mean, that I have control. With celiac disease, it's very much relying on other people. It's going out to a restaurant, the pressure is on you to make sure that's gluten-free. You can ask, but there's like, you have to trust them, and sometimes the trust isn't always right. You know, I've been gluten before. I feel like in those cases, your autoimmune condition is in other people's hands. Obviously, I can take care of myself when I'm at home and I can buy gluten-free food and I can read the labels and make sure it's gluten-free. But when you go out, like, you just have to put faith in that it is gluten-free. Also, I think there is a lot of exclusion with celiac disease. Like, if you go out to some places, there's just nothing. In the past, it was worse. There's just like a salad. Most places there's something these days, but again, cross-contamination is huge, and they always have that little disclaimer on the menu saying that, yeah, it's cross-contamination here, unless it's 100% gluten-free. So with inclusivity and celiac disease, like, you go to any job, any party, any event, you're probably not going to have something, and you just end up feeling bad. It's putting you in bad social situations. You feel awkward when you have to, like, be in a new job or a new situation and be like, oh yes, I'm celiac, I can't have that, I can't have this. Sometimes people, and I've had this, do not react well. They think you're being difficult, and I don't like that. So then you kind of withdraw and remove yourself from the situation. That is why I think celiac disease is harder, because I just think there's a lot of relying on other people and circumstances, and I think there's a lot of exclusion. Now, of course, there's exclusion with diabetes as well, of course. And diabetes, like I said, diabetes is day to day more challenging, I think, because if I'm at home all day today and I have gluten-free, I'm safe. But it's about, there's so much more planning with celiac disease. There's less spontaneity.
Traveling is very hard. I don't actually mind traveling with type 1 diabetes because I feel like I have a good understanding of my body and how to control it and what to do in situations where something's going wrong. But I'm also just relying on other people for the celiac aspect. That's just my opinion. Does it get any easier dealing with 2 autoimmune conditions after 17 years? No, it doesn't get any easier. Things get better. Technology is better for diabetes, and in celiac disease, there's definitely more gluten-free food and options maybe when you go out, but it doesn't get any easier. Like, I'm 17 years now. The older I get as I age with both conditions, they're both autoimmune conditions. Their damage has been done to the body, especially with undiagnosed type 1 diabetes. I was undiagnosed for quite some time, let's say in DKA and having cataracts. I know that. And I know that having 2 autoimmune conditions increases your risk for other autoimmune conditions and things like cancer, all these horrible things that you have to think about. You know, if you go to any of the talks, there's people have issues with fertility, cancer, other autoimmune conditions, not nice things, and you have to be aware of that as you age. But also, like, it's pretty bad to think about that. It's not a good thought. So it doesn't get easier, and I feel like now that I'm coming up to, I'm 3 years away from 20 years with diabetes and celiac. That's a long time. Damage will be done to the body, and I know that. So all I can hope is that the technology keeps advancing and that I can help, and that in terms of the celiac disease, that I'm doing everything right and reducing any possible damage. But it doesn't get easier, and I do worry. I haven't been great health-wise this year, so I do worry about that. So I just wanted to call out as well 2 comments that were on the posts and videos. They weren't exactly questions, but I thought they were really good. And this one here, where it says 10 type 1s were given stem cell transplant and 8 of them produced insulin. Now, they were on immunosuppressants. I think that's kind of where the research is heading. I do have a degree. I don't think I've ever said on the channel, I have a science degree. I have a degree specifically in genetics. So stuff like that is very interesting to me. And that's why I have my opinions about how these transplant kind of things are going, because like you mentioned, you will have to be on immunosuppressants. That can cause other issues, and also things about like cancer cell dysregulation, that kind of thing when they transplant the cells. There's a few things like that, but I think that's really interesting, and I do think that's where the research is going. And the last one, I just wanted to call out, thank you for the congrats on my Diaversary to a fellow Irish person here. Thanks for watching my videos, and I hope that your daughter is doing really well now, and I really hope she gets Simplera, because I think that will be amazing. I will be on the waiting list for Simplera, and I know that in Ireland they want to give them to children and adolescents first, and I think that's right, and then I think focus on adults. But I really hope it comes out at the end of the year. But I just wanted to call out you specifically and say thanks for leaving a comment on the video. And now, everyone, that's the end of my questions. I hope they were helpful. I'm gonna show you my present and my snacks, because we have to, it's a weird day, all right? I know, like, some people don't celebrate Diaversary at all. I think it's more celebrating how far you've come with whatever X amount of years that you've had diabetes, celebrating that day, that you are so resilient and that you are so strong and that you keep going, and that there's others out there. We're out there and we support each other. So Lana is chasing bees. That's what she's doing behind me. She'll probably go insane when I show you my present now. So let me show you them before we finish up the video. So if you couldn't tell already, I love dogs. Here's my own dog here, trying to get this dog. And I got this as a present from my boyfriend for 17 years. So thanks for that. And I'll dedicate this to all of the, so it's not just type 1s, obviously we live with it and deal with it, but also thanks to the people who support us, the other diabetics, the parents, the family members, the friends, and especially to the immediate family, like the parents, the brothers and sisters, grandparents, anyone else who deals with it every day and helps us to succeed. Thank you so much. So this is my dog. There's my dog over there. And the snacks, yeah, the snacks. Don't hate on me. Some people like to hate on me because I show real blood sugars and real bad food like snacks. But like, I'm gonna celebrate today. I'm gonna eat something that's not the best for me. Maybe I'll have bad blood sugars. I think that you have to bear that in mind with type 1 diabetes, that you also have to have time and happiness, as we like to call it in our support group, as well as time in range. Okay, this will be quick because Lana will go insane because she loves popcorn. Why do you love popcorn so much? So I've got this. This is actually new and it's from Proper Corn, and it has, I'll show you on the back for my Hey, Lana! I'll show you on the back for my celiacs. It is gluten-free. This is their new cheese flavor. It's amazing. And one of my favorite chocolates is M&M's. I don't know about other ones, but the yellow one is gluten-free in the fact that it doesn't say gluten-free on it, but has no gluten-containing ingredients. And I really like that. The crispy one, definitely not gluten-free, and the chocolate one, possibly not. Oh my god, but Lana will literally attack me for these. Say bye to you all. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Trip down memory lane, answering the questions, and be kind to yourself, whether you have type 1 diabetes or not, or celiac disease or not. Just keep going, and I'll see you all in the next video.